We just witnessed one of the most feel-good WrestleManias of all time. So many big babyface wins, but I know a lot of people will be focusing on the ending of the pay-per-view, which seemed to come out of absolutely nowhere and left a lot of people feeling a bit flat, which is such a shame because almost everything that came before it was good. We had big moments, we had great matches, and all of the booking was pretty spot on. Let's take a look at what happened at WrestleMania 35. We kick things off with the first pre-show match, which is, of course, the Cruiserweight title match between Tony Nese, the challenger, taking on the champion, Buddy Murphy. A hot start with Buddy Murphy charging straight at Tony Nese, but Tony Nese sees it coming, gets out the way, and then a great spot where Buddy Murphy just drops Tony Nese on the corner top ropes. Fantastic stuff. I feel like I say this every time, but you've really got a feel for the Cruiserweight guys who go out there and kill themselves on every single pre-show. They never get proper placement on the main card, but they are really, really great at getting the crowd hot, and they did a really good job here, even though a quarter of them weren't in the arena yet. Big knees from Murphy, big inverted Rana from Tony Nese, and just lovely little sequences between the two. Nese hits the 450 for a nice near fall, then Buddy hits Murphy's Law, but Nese gets his foot on top of the bottom rope, and then Buddy, showing frustration, pulls his knee pad down, runs at him. Tony has it figured out. Tony Nese then hits the running Nese, picks up the win, your new Cruiserweight champion, Tony Nese. So a solid match. Would have liked to see it go maybe 5 minutes longer, but time constraints. There are 4 matches to fit on the pre-show, and yeah, hopefully they put it on the DVD. Next up, it's time for the second annual fabulous Women's WrestleMania Battle Royal. Nice to see Candice in there, nice to see Kyrie in there, nice to see Ember back from injury, and especially nice to see Lillian Garcia announcing this one because my dad really, really fancies her. Naomi gets a proper entrance, Asuka gets a proper entrance, then as expected, Lacey Evans doesn't turn up. Nikki Cross goes mental at the start. Nice to see her getting a little bit of character work now. Put her on TV. Maria is the first to be eliminated, then Asuka gets rid of Nikki Cross and Candice LeRae, then Ember Moon eliminates last year's winner, Naomi. Honestly, Ember with one of the strongest showings in the Women's Battle Royal, until she gets eliminated by Lana to huge boos. Lana is then dispatched by the Riot Squad. Kairi Sane hits the insane elbow, a thing of absolute beauty still, but she gets thrown over the top by the Riot Squad as well. Looks like they're going to go on a bit of a tear of it. Looks like the numbers game's going to be too much, but Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott are thrown over by none other than Dana Brooke. Biggest pop of her career, by the way. I'm not going to go through every elimination, don't worry, it's a battle royal, you know how it works, there are lots of eliminations. It all comes down to Asuka, Sarah Logan, and Sonya Deville. Asuka gets rid of Sonya, then of all people, Sarah Logan eliminates Asuka to win the match. That's not true. Carmella's still in there. Carmella ends up getting Sarah Logan over the top rope, super kicking her, and she is the winner of the second annual you-know-what, and wins that hideous, hideous trophy. Decent enough, it was sloppy at points, there's no denying that, and personally, after Asuka was eliminated, and then Carmella appeared, I'd have preferred to see Sarah Logan win the thing anyway, because she could do with the rub more than Carmella, but whatever, let's move on. The Raw Tag Titles are on the line next. It's the Revival, the champions taking on the challengers Curt, Hawkins, and Zack Ryder. It's a match that was set up in a singular WWE.com exclusive video. It's one that I think we all expected to be on the pre-show, but hey, at least the Revival get their WrestleMania payday, which they can use as moving expenses when they quit. Curt Hawkins starts things off in the ring with Scotty D. He gets out-wrestled immediately and then just slapped around a little by Scott. Curt then tags in Zack, who gets in a little bit of offense, but not for long, as the Revival cut the ring in half and beat him down. Fast forward 5 minutes, Zack finally gets the hot tag. In comes Curt Hawkins, and he is fired up. Backslide pin. 1, 2, kick out. He's gonna bloody do it. Roll up. 1, 2, kick out. He's gonna bloody do it. Another roll up. 1, 2, kick out. He's gonna bloody do it. Come on, Curt. Fast forward 5 minutes. There's a spear on the outside. Lovely little Edgeheads throwback. And then a brain buster on the outside. He's not gonna do it. He's not gonna do it. Back in the ring. He's down. He's out. He's out. Picks him up. Roll up. 1, 2, 3. He's only gone and bloody done it. Your new Raw Tag Team Champions, Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins. He was playing possum all along. The Revival lose. They've lost their tag belts. Hometown pop. It was a lovely little moment. The Revival lose. Oh. Final match of the pre-show now, and it's time for the armbar. The only guys to get special entrances in this one are the Saturday Night Live lads, the Hardys, which I'm happy about, and of course, the favourite, Braun. Michael and Colin just immediately roll out and hide under the ring. Clever lads, they've watched WWE before, I like them. Quick eliminations all round, especially EC3, who lasted maybe 20 seconds before being thrown over the top rope and eliminated. There was a nice little stare down between Harper and Braun Strowman, but everyone piles in before they can scrap. Lots and lots of eliminations. Like before, I'm not going to go through them all, but a big shout out to Andrade for his monkey flip elimination to, I think it was Kalisto. Wonderful. Strowman then comes back in, he was thrown through the middle rope and proceeds to just about clear half the house. He's throwing out men left, right and centre, and then an inventive elimination. Ali and Harper going for a suplex. Strowman just comes along and boots them, but scary Ali, when he hit the mat, he sits up and I think he drove his head into the corner of the announce table. It looked painful. Hopefully he's okay. It all comes down to Braun Strowman, the Hardys, and of course the SNL guys who are hiding under the ring still. Braun looks to eliminate both the Hardys, but then the SNL guys come in and they creep up and they try to eliminate Braun, but no. Braun gets rid of the Hardys, and then it's promo time. Colin says not everything has to come down to violence, so he's invited along his therapist, who looks exactly like Chris Masters, and Braun then kills Chris Masters, the therapist, and then he eliminates Michael. It's down to 2, Braun Strowman and Colin. Colin tries to eliminate Braun. Braun picks him up for a power slam, but just lobs him out of the ring into the waiting arms of lots of WWE superstars for the most predictable result of all time. I say that. I picked Apollo. What was I thinking? On to the main card. Well, not yet. Please welcome the host of WrestleMania, Alexa Bliss. Alexa says that if she wants a WrestleMania moment, all she has to do is click her fingers. I am a real America. It's Terry. Terry says about as much as he said at Crown Jewel. What you gonna do when Hulkamania, Alexa Bliss, and WrestleMania runs wild on you? But that's not it, because out strides Paul Heyman, and oh my word, the Universal title match is on first. Brock Lesnar is curtain jerking. So Brock Germans Hogan, F5's Alexa Bliss, and I'm making this up, but still, bloody hell! Before I start, I really wish Hulk Hogan had been replaced by Bret Hart there, because imagine the pop. Anyway, on to the match. Brock attacks Rollins as he's trying to get into the ring. F5 on the outside, Brock throws him into the ring apron, and it's a Lesnar match. Seth is bumping like a madman, the bell hasn't even rung yet, his back is an absolute mess, and Brock is just throwing him around like a really ripped lawn dart. The bell finally rings, Suplex City, Brock goes for an F5, Rollins manages to get out of it, ref bump, boom! Right in Brock's roidy little knackers. Oh my word. Curb stomp, number 1, the ref is back up. Curb stomp, number 2. Curb stomp, number 3. He pins him. 1, 2, 3. New Universal Champion, Seth Rollins. Imagine how deflated the crowd would have been if Brock won this one. The right result. What a way to open WrestleMania 35. Go away, Brock. Go away for a long time. An unbelievable result, a genuinely shocking moment, and WrestleMania has started beautifully. Up next, I'm already out of breath. It's not easy, this YouTube lark. I wish I was a wrestler. It's time for WWE versus TNA. Randy Orton taking on AJ Styles. Orton goes for an RKO early, misses it, and then classic heel work from Randy Orton. Looks at the referee to see if he can see what's going on and just pokes AJ in the eye. Simple stuff, effective heel work, something that Randy Orton does better than almost anyone in pro wrestling. Orton then slows things down. Simple stuff, but something that Randy Orton does better than literally anyone in pro wrestling. AJ works the leg with kicks, locks in the calf crusher, but Randy Orton just about manages to get to the ropes. Great forearm fakie from AJ, hits the 450, Orton hits the backbreaker, and unfortunately this just all feels a little bit slow. In fact, the only time that the audience really picked up was when they turned the lights off so they could actually see the pissing match. Orton finally hits an RKO, Styles kicks out at 2, then Orton goes up top for a super RKO, AJ gets out, kicks Randy Orton, and things are finally starting to pick up a bit. AJ hits a wonderful, phenomenal forearm to the outside, goes for one on the inside, Orton tries to reverse, AJ counters, hits the forearm, 1, 2, 3. AJ wins. This match was pretty disappointing, unfortunately. This had all the potential to be one of the better matches on the card, and it just wasn't. Still a big win for AJ Styles and Dixie Carter. Lacey Evans then walks out and then walks away. There was a match earlier, Lacey. You could have been in it. I'd have loved to have seen Rollins versus Lesnar versus Lacey. Smackdown Tag Titles on the line next. Ricochet and Black versus Rusev and Nakamura versus The Bar versus the champions, the Usos. This is quite a hard one to talk about. Really fast-paced. 3 of my favorite tag teams in the world and 2 bad guys who have been thrown together because they're both foreign. Lots and lots of tags, lots and lots of really nice sequences. I did especially like Ricochet being swung around by Cesaro for literally a minute and a half while Sheamus is just clubbing the chest of pretty much everyone in the match. I can't even go on the teacups without feeling rough, so Ricochet there for a minute and a half. Fair play for not spewing on that handsome Swiss bastard's legs. There was an unbelievable Tower of Doom featuring all 8 wrestlers, with Ricochet being Ricochet and just landing on his feet, obviously. Ricochet hits the 630 and everyone has to come in to break up the pin, and then finisher spam. Everyone's hitting their finisher, and the best bro kick sell I've ever seen, once again courtesy of Ricochet. Absolutely the man of the match here. To the finish, double super kicks from the Usos, double splash from the Usos, and the best damn tag team in the world today retain the titles. This match was great, could have done with maybe 5 more minutes, but with 16 matches on the card, well, fair enough. Next up, it's time for the best in the world. Shane McMahon versus the best unlikely babyface in the world, The Miz. Shane lays in the punches early, out-wrestling The Miz from the off because he's Shane McMahon, and Miz, you're just some guy off the real world. This is ludicrous, this match. Okay, compose yourself, Adam. Shane sets up The Miz on the announce table. He's going to go for that big elbow drop, but who steps in the way? It's none other than Mr. Baked Potato himself, George. And Shane is forced to step down, and then George rolls in the ring and squares off with Shane McMahon like this. But not that much emotion. After like 30 seconds, Miz finally rolls in, makes the save and attacks Shane, and then he's tending to his baked potato, going, "Someone get him some help," and no one's coming out. I'm pretty sure WWE have medics on hand at WrestleMania. Nobody's coming. Miz and Shane then brawl into the crowd. There's chair shots. They throw each other into the LED panels. Some kid falls over but manages to hold onto his beer, which is pretty damn impressive, and the whole thing is just crazy. Miz throws Shane through a table, and Miz is in complete control here, and then this completely nuts spot where Miz just lobs Shane over the top. I think he's meant to land on the golf cart, but he then slips down, falls like 6 feet to the concrete floor. Poor bastard. It's alright, he's the best in the world. He can recover in seconds, and he does. They then head to the hard cam area, and Miz with the skull-crushing finale on the steel floor. Shane kicks out yet again. Shane starts fighting back and then starts climbing. He's climbing this big tower thing with the camera at the top, and we know how this is going to end. Miz starts climbing too. He's cornered Shane, and Shane's just going, I'm sorry, I'm really, really sorry, but Shane, you've attacked the man's potato. Miz attacks him. Superplex, superplex off the top of the big thing, through some bloody things, and absolutely nuts. Genuinely. But camera cuts to them, and Shane is laid on top of the Miz. Miz's shoulders are down. The winner, Shane McMahon. He's done it. He's bloody done it, which means the feud probably isn't over yet. This was proper Attitude Era nonsense. I loved every single second of it. Forgive me for liking it. It was really fun. Next up, it's time for the women's tag team title match. Natty and Beth Phoenix versus the IIconics versus Tamina and Nia versus the champions Bayley and Sasha. Nia and Tamina dominate the early stages, then Nia gets thrown into the ring steps by Beth and Natty. The IIconics get a bit of offense in, then Sasha and Bayley. As I say, these fatal 4-way tag team matches can be quite hard to follow, but I think all 8 women involved in the match did a good job here. There was a nice exchange between Beth Phoenix and Sasha Banks. I like Beth Phoenix powering out of the Banks statement, and the double sharpshooter from Natty was good too, with Bayley grabbing Sasha's hand to prevent her from tapping out. All good stuff. The IIconics eat a double Samoan drop from Nia and Tamina, and then Nia and Tamina go up top for, I assume, a big double splash, but thank the Lord, Beth Phoenix prevents that from happening. Bayley with the big elbow, Sasha hits the frog splash, but Beth Phoenix manages to kick out at 2. Beth was great. She really was great tonight. There were parts of this match that were a little bit slow, but Beth Phoenix has absolutely still got it. Speaking of which, the Glam Slam from the top was fantastic, but she didn't make the cover. Nope. The IIconics run in, make the cover, and they only bloody do it. Your new Women's Tag Team Champions, the IIconics. So yeah, couldn't be happier about this. The match itself wasn't especially special, but I really like the result. I love the IIconics. I think they're two of the best characters in the WWE today, and them picking up this cheap win was absolutely perfect for them. And the tears shed, especially by Billie Kay at the end, they seemed so genuine, and yeah, I'm just really happy for them. The match wasn't great, but I really like the result. Next up, it's the match that personally I was most excited for on the WrestleMania card. It's the WWE title match, the champion Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston. Worth mentioning that before the match, Big E is handed a big blue box, and also there's something under a black cover at ringside. I mean, if the belt's not in the box, it's probably under the cover. Did this telegraph things a little bit too much? Yes, but not as much as WWE releasing a t-shirt that spoils the result on their own online store during the match. What were you thinking? Anyway, as for the match, there was a nice touch during this one. They've been doing it on SmackDown in previous weeks where they cut to backstage and the entire SmackDown roster are cheering on Kofi Kingston. Now, the entire babyface roster who aren't in matches on the main card, all cheering Kofi on, making this feel even more special. Kofi's on top to begin with, which causes Daniel Bryan to roll out of the ring and regroup. There's some great submission work, as you would expect from Daniel Bryan, and a scary moment where Kofi Kingston goes for a dive to the outside, but Daniel Bryan just sidesteps, sending Kofi flying into the announce table. Bryan slows things down after this, just clamping onto Kofi's midsection and trying to wear him down. Not fun to watch by any means, but effective. It makes sense for Daniel Bryan to be doing it, and it made him even more of an underdog. Later on, Bryan laying in the the kicks, and Kofi just Kofiing up, going, come on, give me more. There's nobody who does. Defiant and gutsy, quite like Kofi Kingston, and it's moments like this that have made it so easy to invest in his character. Rowan then takes out Big E and Xavier on the outside, but Kofi retaliates with a Trouble in Paradise, and then an up, down to take Rowan out, but then when Kofi gets back in the ring, he is greeted by a running knee for one of the best near falls of the night. Kofi kicks out. Bryan then lays in those vicious kicks where he holds the arms and just stamps on Kofi's head. Kofi's selling it like he is absolutely dying. Then Bryan locks in the label lock. He's in the center of the ring, and Kofi, they do the thing where the ref lifts the arm and Kofi has to go, you know the thing. And then Kofi Kingston lays in some of those vicious kicks of his own. Wonderful. Then, quite suddenly really, as Bryan returns to his feet, Kofi nails the Trouble in Paradise, makes the cover, and picks up the win. Your new WWE champion, Kofi Kingston. One of my favorite WrestleMania moments of the last 10 years as Kofi is hoisted onto the shoulders of Xavier and Big E, and the pyro's going off. It was absolutely wonderful. So heartwarming. It was great. What else can I say? The match was terrific. I enjoyed it from start to finish. So what was under the cloth? That's the old belt with Kofi Kingston's side plates already on it. What was in the box? It's the shirt that WWE spoiled the result with on their website. Oh, that said, maybe we shouldn't be checking WWEshop.com during WrestleMania. Next up, the US title is on the line. Rey Mysterio versus the champion Samoa Joe, and there's not a lot to talk about here. Joe dominates the start, Rey with a comeback following a tornado DDT, 619, but then Joe locks in the Coquina clutch. Rey passes out, still US champion Samoa Joe. Lasted about a minute, but personally, I'm really glad that it happened. Joe looks like a dominant beast, passing out Rey Mysterio in no time at all. A legend like Rey Mysterio succumbing to the Coquina clutch, and more importantly, not every WrestleMania match needs to go 15 minutes. It's matches like this that make wrestling seem like a sport. Really enjoyed it. It was really effective for me. I'm glad it happened. There's not that much else to say. I wonder what Dominic was going to do. Next up, it's Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. Personally, wasn't especially invested in this match, but it's obviously great to see Roman Reigns back, and it's great to see Drew McIntyre get a singles match on the WrestleMania main card. Roman immediately lays in the strikes, followed by a Samoan drop. Drew retaliates with a headbutt, the best headbutts in the game. I think that's a compliment? This was one of the slower matches on the card, Drew laying in the strikes, being very much in control for the first 6 or 7 minutes. Roman makes a comeback after Drew sets up for dirty deeds, shouting, "This one's for Ambrose!" laying Drew out with a massive clothesline. Drive-by, Samoan drop on the outside, Superman punch, spear, Roman wins, that's your lot. Another predictable, feel-good babyface win, but not one that I have any problem with at all. Drew was dominant from the start. He doesn't look weak by being defeated by Roman Reigns. And you know what? Roman Reigns has had a tough old few years at WrestleMania, so it was nice to see him win and get cheered in the process. It was A-okay with me. Next up, it's time for the headline act of WrestleMania, Elias. So, 2 Eliases appear on the Tron. One's playing drums, one's playing piano. Stick with me. So both the respective Eliases are playing their instruments alongside the real Elias, who is in the ring. I feel like this is something that you've actually got to see for yourself. He says, "Well done, guys, but I'll take it from here." And then a video package starts to play showing New York Yankees Babe Ruth. And it's not Babe Ruth who's coming out. Surprisingly, it's John Cena, but not just any John Cena, the Doctor of Thugonomics John Cena. Cena does a bit of freestyling, does the whole self-deprecating thing that he's become very bloody good at lately, and then he hits Elias with an AA, except it's not an AA, it's an FU. This was really good. It might not be a match with Kurt Angle, but it was still fun. Next up, it's the no-holds-barred match between Hollywood star Dave Bautista and business mogul Triple H, and Triple H's career is very much on the line. Batista's entrance was cool. He tripped as he got into the ring, but we all know who's going to win Battle of the Entrances. So this year's utterly ridiculous Triple H entrance was Mad Max inspired. He came out on the back of I guess you'd call it a hot rod? It was like WWE Crush Hour. He spits all over the driver of the automobile in question, and then Michael Cole shouts, "How cool was that?" Like Michael Cole is the barometer of cool. So this match was all over the place. I'm going to try and summarize it as quickly as I possibly can, but this might take a while. The two immediately brawl. Triple H is thrown over the announce table. Shawn Michaels is there, by the way. Hi, Shawn. Triple H hits Dave with a toolbox, and then he gets a chain out and whips him with it. This is all kinky and brilliant. Triple H then gets a massive pair of pliers, puts them on Dave's finger, and it looks like he's trying to chop Dave's finger off. By the way, Triple H is the baby face here. He then gets a smaller pair of pliers and rips Dave's nose ring out. I mean, it was fake, but still. Batista then makes a comeback, throwing Triple H over the table, and then they do a bit of wrestling, but just a little bit, don't worry. Batista points at HBK as he sets up for a Batista bomb on the ring steps, which are positioned on top of the announce table, but gets back body dropped over into a table, and then eats a spear from Triple H, who is channeling his inner Dave Batista, I guess, through the announce table. There's so much more that I'm probably forgetting, so I'm going to skip forward a bit. Batista hits the spinebuster, Batista bomb for a great near fall. Just a reminder, this match is pretty bloody brutal, and these two men have a combined age of 99 years old. Honestly, I'm just going to get to the finish. Triple H hits a powerbomb on the ring steps, and then hits a pedigree. 1, 2, kick out. But then it's Nature Boy Ric Flair who passes Triple H a sledgehammer, nails Dave Batista. 1, 2, 3. Triple H gets his win! Yeah! There's a mixed reaction to this online. I think it probably went a little bit longer than it should have. But for what it was, I quite enjoyed it. And I'm really glad that Triple H doesn't have to retire and will appear at the next Saudi Arabia show, because that show would be nothing without the game. Next up, it's the match that is actually going to happen. Don't pretend you're not excited. It's Kurt Angle's retirement match versus Baron Corbin. Corbin controls the majority of the early stages of the match, but Angle hits a few big moves, an overhead belly to belly, a few Germans, and an Angle slam, which Corbin kicks out of at 2. The straps then come down, Angle locks in the ankle lock, but Baron manages to get to the ropes and then heels it up to the max, doing the whole "you can't see me" thing, making fun of the fact that this isn't the match that we wanted to see at all. Angle then goes up top for the moonsault, but misses, and then Corbin hits the end of days for the win. Nobody is booing, and I'm all for a wrestler going out on their back, but for Kurt Angle's final match, this was crap. Absolute crap. I know Curt isn't up to an epic encounter at this point in his career, and that's totally fine, but I'm not even sure that this really did any favors for Corbin. As I say, the crowd weren't booing, they were just super disappointed. We were expecting something, anything, And we got nothing. Curt then grabs the mic and asks the crowd to chant, "You suck, you suck," one last time. And put simply, Curt just deserved better than this. One of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Thank you, Curt. Next up, it's the IC title match between Bobby Lashley and Finn Balor, but not just any Finn Balor, Demon Balor. Ooh, he's all spooky. He's scuttling to the ring like a little crab. Finn starts off hot with kicks and a dive, and then hits a sling blade on the outside, a shotgun dropkick on the outside, and then fair play to Bobby Lashley, who hits a magnificent dive through the middle rope. A guy of that size doing something so spectacular. Props. Balor hits a huge powerbomb on Bobby Lashley, which was just really impressive in of itself, and then goes up top, coup de grace, new IC champion Finn Balor. A satisfying end to the match, better yet it was a short one, and if nothing else this served as a decent palate cleanser following the Kurt Angle Baron Corbin match, which I'm trying not to dwell on too much. Let's get on to the main event. Got to talk about the entrances here because these are pretty bloody special. Charlotte Flair arrives in a pissing helicopter. I thought it was going to land on the big circular thing above the ring. It didn't. It landed outside, but still pretty impressive. Ronda Rousey played to the ring by Joan Jett, who is just like Dave Bautista. Still got it. And Becky Lynch, whole load of steam. Becky goes straight for the disarmer but ends up eating a load of strikes from Ronda Rousey, and then Charlotte faces the same fate and then eats a Piper's Pit on the outside. There was a cool spot where Ronda locks in a double armbar through the ropes and she's just dangling off the outside. Becky manages to escape, runs, drop kicks her, and a really nasty landing for Ronda Rousey. Later on, Charlotte hits Ronda with a massive backhand slap to the face. It looked pretty legit, and so Ronda just replies with a knee to the face. Becky during this match going for disarmer after disarmer. She locks one in on the mat and then through the top rope, which Charlotte breaks up and then hits that brilliant, flawless Spanish fly. Charlotte starts working the leg of Ronda Rousey, which is looking pretty messed up by this point, locking in a figure four around the ring post. Becky breaks up a figure eight, then goes under the ring and gets out a table. And she sets it up in the ring. Ronda gets to it later, pushes it over and goes, "Tables are for bitches!" Oh, you're odd. What do you eat your dinner off of? A tray? Charlotte sets up the table in the corner, goes for a spear on both women, but they hip toss her through the table. Well, not really through the table, but almost through the table. Then there's a great exchange between Becky and Ronda hits the Piper's Pit, but Becky rolls through, pins her, and actually gets the pin. And it felt so abrupt, to the point that people are actually questioning whether it was meant to happen. I'm not going to call it disappointing because I don't think that's the right word for it. It was just the abruptness. This match could have done with another 5 minutes, or the finish should have been changed. It just came completely out of nowhere, and Becky Lynch obviously deserves to be the women's champion for both brands. That's huge. This should have felt better for us than it did, and that's such a shame. Overall, this is one of the most feel-good WrestleManias in recent memory. We saw 3 huge babyface title wins in Seth, in Becky, in Kofi, but that ending, it just took away quite a lot of that, and that's what people are going to remember, which is a shame because overall, this WrestleMania was very, very good. We now have 3 babyface world champions that we as wrestling fans can be really proud of. There was storyline development, there were great matches tonight, and let's not focus too much on the ending, which did seem to come out of nowhere, because everything else that happened before it, with the exception of Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin, was largely really entertaining. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. You can follow us on Twitter @Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.